The man is running through the woods. He grew up in this area and he knows them well. He's wearing a uniform, a backpack, heavy boots, and carrying a rifle. Behind him are two other men. The man is breathing so heavily that he cannot hear exactly where the other men are, but he can hear them yelling at him. Not too far behind, he thinks, but he knows that he's in a good position to outrun them. He knows the trails, and he knows how to get off the trails, as he takes a sharp right to jump over a pile of sticks that he and his best friend had placed there as children. They used to build forts and throw old potatoes at each other, hand grenades, they pretend. His feet were heavy, his back aching, but he was running as fast as he could, his mind thinking of his wife back home with their young son named after him. He had to outrun the two men, get to a hill where he could turn around, lay on the ground, and get them in his sights. A sharp shooter he was. Just get to the hill. His legs were burning, and then he felt the push from behind. His mind racing so fast, he knew they could not have caught up with him. The push becomes hot as fire, tearing through his back. His legs begin to crumble underneath the weight of his body, but the momentum of his running is still forcing his body through the leaves. Slowly, his feet come off the ground as another punch hits him between the shoulders. This tears through his body, coming out through his chest. He is skidding face first through the dirt and twigs and dried leaves, which had been beautiful shades of orange and red just weeks ago, but are now dried and brown. His legs paralyzed. His consciousness is fading as he has the thought, "Oh, shit, I've been shot." The very next thing that happens is that he opens his eyes and he's in a very white, very bright room. He turns his head slowly, trying to understand what is happening. There is one other bed besides his. It's empty. There is an old man in a white garment which just barely touches the floor. His hair is also white as snow, and he turns to face the man. The old man's face is beautiful, even in its wrinkled state. His eyes bright blue, the brightest blue eyes he's ever seen. His cheeks rosy and plump, his face kind and unchanging. His brow doesn't furrow. He doesn't smile, but his eyes show that he's not unhappy either. He walks over to the man and waves his hand over the man's body and gently touched him on the forehead, more like the bridge of his nose. "Yes, my son, it's always confusing," he says to the man, even though he has not spoken. "No, this is not a hospital, but you are fine, my child." And the man feels more confused now than he did before. My son, my child? This man is not my father. And if this white room is not a hospital, then what is it? The old man chuckles a bit before he says, "It's always the same. You'll adjust in a moment." Then he turns his back, and in the air is a book, yet it seems mostly clear. It's quite large, though, and the pages are turning with just the most simple movement of the old man's pointer finger. "Am I dead?" the man asks. "No. In fact, you've never been what you would call alive. Therefore, you could not be dead." Okay, the man thinks, this is too much. I must be in a coma. Just relax and try to skip on to another dream. "My son," the old man says, with his back still turned, "please, let me explain." The book stops turning on a page. The old man stares at it. He nods his head and he says, before coming to the side of the man. "My child," he begins, as he places a hand on the man. It's the warmest, softest hand the man has ever had touch him. A wave of peace flows through him, and he sees that the old man is looking at him with the most loving expression. "May I?" the old man asks, as if to get permission to explain to the man what is happening. "Yes," the man thinks, but he doesn't speak. And the old man says, "You are, and always have been, a soul. You are now, and always have been, my creation. There is no need for you to live. The soul is as the soul is. The soul will make its choices, and the soul will act on its own accord. I need only to place the soul into what the consciousness believes is a life, to allow you, the soul, to choose its path. There is only paradise, my child. You are in paradise now, and always have been. There's never been anything but paradise. The man's thoughts are racing, but I have a wife and a child and parents and a job. I had a childhood. Yes, my child, you went through that process. Your soul went through that process, which lasts the flash of a light, the blink of an eye, in the what you would call time of paradise. You, the soul, were at the age of reason. So you were brought here to, well, what you call live a life. It's the process of tests and tribulations, rewards and pain. These force a soul to make its decisions. It's the soul's free will. It is the process in which the rest of your time in paradise will be chosen. It was then that the man began to feel his body slip off. He began to feel weightless and to lose what he had thought had been memories. The old man was still saying, every soul in your process was in the process of their own. I see. World War II was your process. Soul chose Third Reich. As the last of the man's memories fade, he feels himself as itself, a soul. For a moment that slipped by so quickly that he had forgot it had existed as he opened his eyes again in paradise, his paradise, where his soul had earned the place to be, and he was so happy to feel the warm earth, not remembering anything about the room or the old man, just knowing his now, as he munched on a lovely tasting leaf, his long body warm from the sun shining down on the worm, merrily enjoying his meal.